As a collection of 50 retro-style games for a fictional console from the 80s, you'd figure UFO 50 needs to start with a bang, something that hooks the player and keeps them coming back to check out the entire catalog. So when you're loading up Barbuta for the first time, you're probably expecting a frenetic arcade shooter, maybe a Mario-esque platformer or clever puzzle game. Instead, you're treated to a frictional 2D adventure with zero guidance, stiff movement, and cryptic secrets abound. And it rules. As a fan of games like Fez, Tunic, and this year's Animal Well, Barbuta serves as a strange but effective contemporary despite its adherence to 80s aesthetics and structure. As mentioned, there are no tutorials or hints as to how to beat the game. You're thrown into the starting screen with a meager dagger and the world is your oyster. So you take a step right, and this happens. Now to be fair, I went left first, because in this kind of game my goal is to go the quote-unquote wrong way to find secrets, but it only made the impact of that head trauma that much funnier. Immediately you can tell this is a game that's both earnest and tongue-in-cheek. Though Barbuta harkens back to an era in which mechanics often went unexplained, save for helpful manuals, it's created by designers who clearly played those games and can dissect what makes them tick. So in Barbuta, you have a game that challenges and obfuscates, but in a way that isn't entirely antagonistic to the player. Instead, it encourages you to peel back the layers of the onion with a few laughs along the way. The way to peel those layers is to explore, hit enemies with your dagger, and collect special items in which their usefulness must be determined through experimentation and discovery. The path to obtaining the umbrella serves as a perfect microcosm of the Barbuta experience. In this room, there's an enemy and some kind of dangerous liquid dripping from the ceiling. If the enemy touches you, you die. If the toxic sludge lands on your head, you die. Pretty straightforward stuff. So you time your movements to avoid the sludge and slash at the enemy with your dagger, which has a very small hitbox by the way, I learned that the hard way. But in Barbuta, you're meant to look for things out of the ordinary. So you take a look around the room and notice the left wall looks different. This room leads to the umbrella, but the game doesn't explain what the umbrella does. It's up to the player to use some deductive reasoning, or accidentally stumble into the answer as in my case, to realize that the umbrella protects from the green liquid. So now rooms like this are easier to navigate, but you also gain access to different parts of the map that would be inaccessible otherwise. That encompasses most of the Barbuta experience. Find items to access new parts of the map, and then eventually discover and defeat the final boss to beat the game. The complexity of the map makes that a more engaging task than it sounds. This is absolutely a game in which drawing your own map and annotating feels necessary unless you have a photographic memory. There's even a puzzle in which the solution is found in an entirely different spot, so you need to have knowledge of both rooms to solve it. Also, the map is quite large for a game of this size. I've beaten Barbuta and completed the cherry cart requirement, and just take a look at how many empty rooms are still on my map. It would likely take a while to discover every single secret the world holds. None of this is to say Barbuta isn't without its faults. Game feel is such a nebulous concept, but Barbuta doesn't necessarily feel good to play. It also lacks any music whatsoever and features rudimentary sound effects. But all of that feels purposeful when you think about it. This was the very first game for a brand new console in the 80s. So Barbuta may lack the immediacy of a typical launch title, but it serves as a brilliant mission statement for UFO 50. This collection of games is both forward-thinking in its design, especially some of the later games, and honorific to the joy of discovery and mystery in a bygone era of gaming. In that sense, I can't think of a better game to serve as the first chronological experience in UFO 50.